Marshelle.
Hi, Bridget. This episode,
We're going to talk about
what are the things that are going on in our lives?
it's kind of like maybe this might be like,
Yeah, sorta, kinda.
life lesson.
hi,
What's up?
what's up? Hi,
They call me Slash.
Axl.
Just kidding, guys. It's me. It's Bridget. Hi.
Marshelle.
That's Marshelle. I
Yeah,
know
sorta, kinda.
you, if you're watching us, you wouldn't know that because our costumes are so amazing.
They're so real. I can't even tell.
Literally look like a man right now.
I think I do, actually.
No, you don't. You really don't. I think my boobs might give it away just a little bit. They're not out, but they do exist. And this is Yeah, Sorta Kinda.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And we are, this is the, Halloween one. We're going to talk about Halloween.
Yeah, and we're going to live it a little, right? Because we're in costume.
Yeah.
Because, we have no plans to go anywhere on Halloween, seeing as it's a pandemic.
What the hell are you going to do?
So you're going to dress up and shoot a podcast. That's what you're going to do.
You can't even get candy from people if you think about it.
I wouldn't recommend it. Don't trust them. Don't trust them.
What are you going to do? Like,
you know
spray
what
it down?
thing? You know what? In my research, what I learned is that they used to, the bad people used to curse the food and the candy. They would curse it.
Really? I didn't see that.
Well, I started watching this one thing about like this guy who had been a Satanist who then is now like a pastor. So he was like, he's like, I cannot believe Christians would celebrate Halloween. And I was like, oh my gosh, flashback to my childhood. We wouldn't. We weren't allowed.
Oh man, we did. Yeah.
Yeah. The guy was a little extreme, but he was hardcore Satanist for many, many years. So I got the sense that he knew something.
Oh well, yeah. So he's a pastor now. He's a Christian now. Wow, that's interesting.
I don't know a lot about his story. Well, I know that he was 8 when he started being incorporated into like rituals and stuff, and then he had talked about getting married on Halloween and baptizing his daughter at 11 to the devil, and he had a few things to say, but in terms of how he went from being a Satanist to a pastor,
Christian,
like I have no idea. But his thing was saying, his thing was like, Christian, like Satanists don't celebrate Good Friday.
Well, initially, what was it? The church took it over to make it, because it was originally more of like a Celtic pagan belief system.
And to celebrate the dead.
Yeah, it was to celebrate the dead. And they believed that it was when the veils between the two worlds were thinning. And it was like the Celtic calendar divided it into two halves. There was the light and the dark.
Dark. Yes. Speaking of dark, I'm going to remove my sunglasses.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I'm like, I don't know how this is going to work to take these things off. They're on so tightly. There we go.
I have never in my life had a pair of sunglasses that are so dark. Like these do not, no light goes through these. And it's kind of disorienting. Like I almost feel like I'm in what are those things you lay in the water, like the desensitization chamber? Anyway.
Oh, the isolation chambers. Yeah,
something like that. Where you just
isolation tank. That's what.
That almost made me feel like that.
My glasses were prescription for nearsightedness, so I really couldn't see. I had my notebook upside down. I had all kinds of stuff went wrong. It was quite enjoyable, I have to say, for you guys. I'm sure.
I'm so glad we did this because we look awesome.
I know. This is she had a top hat. Tommy's. We got to give Tommy credit for that.
I was gonna say that story. Do you want me to?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was trying to sell this thing because I have a lot of stuff I'm, trying to unleash into the world. And Tommy was like, "Oh yeah, you should be Slash for Halloween." Just said it really casual as a joke, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's exactly what I'm gonna do." Plus, Slash's dad was in Tommy and Marcelle's wedding along with I. I was also there.
Yeah.
So I feel a little more
kinship
to I mean, I don't know Slash. I've never met Slash. Hi, if you ever
I've met
if your dad tells you to watch this.
Yeah, I know. Hi, Slash.
Hi.
He's
Sorry.
really
Hope
sweet.
this isn't offensive. Your hair is much cooler than this $17 wig. What's funny is that whole tangent was because you mentioned the light and the dark in terms of like the Gaelic Celtic calendar. So, I mean, if you want to jump back into that, or if you want to talk about your costume, either direction.
I was trying to come up with different. We'll go into that in a second. I was trying to come up with different ideas, and then, like, I should just be Axl. I should just be Axl Rose. I mean, I kind of dress like that anyway, so all I got to do is put a bandana, strawberry blonde wig, some sunglasses. There you go. So it was kind of.
It's actually super fun to see you in this wig. I've never seen you in a hair color like this. It looks pretty good. Yeah. I mean, I prefer you as a brunette.
Thank you.
But this is a good wig. Good color on you.
Yeah. No, I keep wanting to like snake around, but yeah, like. But, okay.
I can't move too much. This hat will fly off my head.
Yeah, yeah.
This is a small, because this is meant for my head, not for this hair, and a set of headphones. So
yep.
This is a, you know.
I couldn't even see your headphones. That wig is so big for those of you listening.
They're in there somewhere. Wait. Right?
It's pretty funny.
If I take off the hat, I look like Cher.
Yeah, that's true. We're like, keep the wig. I mean, keep the hat. Keep the hat.
Is there a Cher thing? When was she? Doesn't matter.
Turn Back Time. I think her hair was
turn
tightly.
Back Time.
Or
sorry, I'm so
was
sorry.
that amazing movie?
The one with the mermaids?
The Moon. The one with the moon.
Never saw either, actually.
Oh, that's such a good movie with Nicolas Cage. Gosh, that's a good movie. I can't think of the name of it. I'll have to think about that one. It'll come to me while we're probably done, when we're done with the show.
Or some asshole will be like, "Hey, idiot, it's blah, blah, blah."
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. We don't get commenters like that. You guys are really
nice. We got
nice.
a thumbs down on one of our things, but
it was probably an accident.
Right?
Doubt it.
Anyway, okay. So back to light and dark. All right.
Okay.
So, Celtic holiday. Oh, right. Let's see. So now this is what was interesting is but the like good and evil or Day of the Dead always did kind of seem to be celebrated around the world from the research I found. And what I thought was kind of cool, the common point was that they all believed that the veil, the barrier between the worlds was thinner and that it was breachable during that time frame. And what I'd heard right before we started recording this was that some in the Celtic beliefs, some of them believed that the spirits from the other side could get trapped here or vice versa, that humans could get trapped on the other side.
I've never heard that before. That's really interesting.
So they did souling and guising. Mm-hmm. Guising was wearing costumes. They would wear costumes to
trick the spirits.
Trick the spirits, exactly.
The bad guys. They'd kind of like, if we look like them, then they won't know that we're people.
I love the way you did that. And it was actually called Samhain. Back then, like the Celtic Samhain, but spelled like Sam Hain. So
I think that it's, you know how people will look at a modern day tradition and be like, that's stealing from such and such. Well, no shit, people. Like, that's what's been happening for thousands of years. Things evolve. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so exactly. there's different cultures bring different things together, but there's also points back in the 1700s where I think the Pope was like, oh, we're gonna reclaim this for Jesus. Like, things happen over time. It's just part of the evolution of culture too, or religion or whatever. Things evolve. So not everything is people stealing everything. It's just kind of like, it's silly to think that everything is so segmented and that not everything needs to have like a negative spin. Some of it is just, what interests people.
She said. Exactly.
Like as a kid, I was always super interested in costumes. I always really, really, really wanted to dress up and love dress up. But we weren't allowed. So we can get into that later. I mean, I don't know how far you want to go into the history of Halloween.
Well, we can just start talking about something else if you want.
No, I mean, I don't know how much, I'm saying I don't know how much info you have.
I just there was one thing I would say that was a little
I want to
cool.
hear it.
That was good. I thought you would really get a kick out of this.
Yeah.
So back with the Samhain, They believed that, so they would leave. This is kind of where the whole trick or treating and all this kind of came
Yeah.
from. Like, they would wear the costumes, like we said. They would also leave food out for the spirits,
Yeah.
to appease them, but also like as an offering. But this is what they believed. They would dress as animals, but they believed that fairies would come over. They had shape-shifting creatures, I think they called the puka, that received offerings from the forest. And there was this one. The Lady Gwen is a headless lady in white who chases night wanderers, and she was accompanied by a black pig.
Interesting.
Right? And it seems like I've seen that in other mythologies. Like there's similarities with some of this stuff.
I've never heard the black pig thing. I mean, I came across a couple things, different theories about the jack-o'-lantern, but they were so different, such different interpretations that it's almost like we're not doing an episode on the jack-o'-lantern. So I'm not going to like try to break this down, the psychology of this, but but I will say it used to be a turnip before it was.
Yeah, it was like a small little thing, right?
And my understanding is when Halloween became more commercialized in the 1900s, but like after it came over to America, and I think it was really big in Maryland first, and then spread. And I know that pumpkins are sure hell of a lot easier to carve than the turnip.
Can you imagine this little bitty turnip?
I mean,
damn it!
Now that I've lived through a pandemic and I have a lot of time on my hands, I feel like I'm a little bit more understanding of these little crafts.
I probably would have been. You and I probably would have been doing it.
We
back
probably
in the
would
day.
have made our wigs from scratch, Marshelle.
Exactly.
I would have gone and I would have collected the feathers of black crows, and then I would have curled them with an iron that I laid over the fire to heat it up. Exactly. And you would have collected straw and you would have woven it.
Exactly.
And this is a vegan coat, but I would have slaughtered a black pig. And made it. I'm just kidding. I would never. I can't slaughter anything. Oh,
I can't even.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry I said that.
That's okay. Let me see. So what else? Well, a couple more things. Then there was, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, but I think it's the Doulahan. And they appeared as impish creatures. There were sometimes a headless man on horses who carried their heads, riding flame-eyed horses. Their appearance was a death omen. That reminded me of the Disney tale of Ichabod Crane, where but he had the headless horseman would be chasing after people. They made us watch that as children. It was kind of a scary cartoon, but kind of fun at the same time.
That was Disney?
That was a Disney cartoon, I believe. I believe so. I'll double check that, but I think it was. And Ichabod, but there was the headless horseman, and he had like a jack-o'-lantern, but it was supposed to be his head, and it was up on flames. Throw it at people. Yes, he would take them back to the.
I'm sorry, I'm not winking at you. There's this really rebellious girl that keeps it going, and then sticking in my eye.
And that's kind of it. There was like a group of hunters. The fairy host might also hunt and kidnap people. These are some of their beliefs. And then similar to that was the swag, who would come from the west to enter houses and steal souls. So
The swag.
Swag.
Is that where swag came from? Probably not. I think the thing about Halloween, it captures the imagination.
Yeah.
It's and this idea of getting to be something else for a night is intriguing. I mean, we are actors, Marshelle and I, so clearly these are things that are fun for us, is to embody something else. But I mean, what are some of the things you've dressed up as in the past? Can you think of some of your favorite costumes, or like maybe really terrible costumes? Like I've been a pirate countless times.
I was a pirate. I was the Archangel Michael a few years back. That was actually a very fun costume.
I've been Katy Perry.
Exactly. I've been Evel Knievel several years in a row because I just love that costume.
I've definitely been a cat. Like, who hasn't been a cat? Like, what female hasn't been a cat?
I wasn't a cat. I've never been.
This from the child who wanted to be a cat burglar when you grew up? You never were cat?
No.
Wow.
But
See, to me, that's a natural, like, you or Catwoman.
You would think, no.
You would make such a hot Catwoman.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I did want to be a cat burglar, you guys. I think we talked about this in season 1.
That's how I know.
Yeah, exactly.
I listen to our show.
I listen.
I listen.
But what I did want to talk about this, like a lot of people would be the sexier costumes. I like had some sort of built in, I'm not rebel of like, I'm not going to be sexy. So I would be like a dancing cigarette from like, like how they had those ads like in the 30s and 40s where they were just like the big giant. So I would just take a big thing of paper and wrap it around and draw and I would cut a hole out for my face.
My sexiest costume was Little Red Riding Hood. I still have it. So to any like future lover.
I was also Fruit of the Loom's Grapes.
Not any future lover.
Someone cool.
Someone who gets
into that.
You know, my wolf. Just my
wolf.
Stop.
But wait,
stop.
you're missing but I was Fruit of the Loom's Grapes. And I had like a bodysuit and I blew up some balloons and I taped them all over. And then which was this stupid, it backfired on me because people would pop the balloons.
I would be pissed. People
was really
popping my
mad.
balloons.
I was really mad. That was, those are the ones that are coming to mind.
I was a bug. I was this hideous bug. I borrowed this costume. I don't know if it was a gnat or a fly when I was maybe 12. When I was a little chubby at 12. So that was already kind of unfortunate. And in order to really sell the costume, I felt like I needed some sort of like eyes. So my dad got this idea of like, well, what if we take a tennis ball and we cut it in half and we poke little holes through it? So I'm like, great. First of all, a tennis ball is kind of like a thick, plasticky, jagged, crappy, like it was a terrible thing to have against my face. The other problem was tennis balls are yellow and bug eyes are usually black. So we thought, why not take a black marker and like a permanent marker and color these black?
Yeah.
So guess who had black rings around her eyes? Me. And then the only other thing we added was like a twist tie to make like a nose. It was hideous. It was nothing
cute, though.
It was not cool.
Sounds cute.
You know what? You want to be cool when you're that age. You want to start to feel cool. I was not. That was not.
Okay, I have one
that was
more.
not a good choice.
And I bet it was adorable though. I'd love to see pictures of that.
I think there's only one left, and nobody has ever seen it. This picture. One picture.
Oh, one picture left. One more costume I did. When I was in high school, we got extra credit if we came to school in a costume. So I decided to just be a ghost. So I just took a white sheet, and I just thought this was the funniest idea. Cut out the big eyes, for two. So so I just sat in the back of the room with a sheet on, not saying anything, cracking myself up because I just thought the visual of that was hilarious. And nobody got it except for my sociology teacher, who was just. He was just chuckling the whole hour. He was like, you just sitting there silently, not moving, just like with this white sheet and these big, and I blacked out my eyes underneath, it was the funniest thing. So that was, I was proud of that costume, but that's my humor.
I know I had other costumes. I just, at this point, they're starting to blur together with like theater roles that I've played. Like I can't think of anything else. But we'll add Slash to the list.
Slash and Axl. I thought that was pretty good,
clever. I mean, we do owe Tommy Black a lot of credit for that.
We do.
We really do.
Yeah.
Do you remember like growing up, were there any particular Halloween traditions that you guys would do every year, or was there like anything fun that stands out?
Yeah. Well,
let me live vicariously through you, since for me, I don't have anything exciting to share.
You guys didn't go trick-or-treating, right? Or did you?
Eventually, once we were much, much older, we did get to go around our immediate cul-de-sac, which was maybe like 5 houses.
So. Oh, well, at least you got to do something, like that's good. That's good. I remember my family's always like really into this kind of stuff, but we would go to haunted houses, which I think explains. I have
never been to a haunted house ever.
I can't believe it's a pandemic. If it wasn't a pandemic, I would so take you.
I know.
But they still scare me to death to this day. Like I have this love-hate relationship.
Is it the jump scares? I imagine for Marshelle, I imagine it would be the jump scares.
It's the jump scares.
Yeah.
It's totally the jump scares. They jump out. I just want to punch them in the face.
I imagine you getting pissed. This is what I imagine. I imagine you like, Jesus Christ, I'm gonna hurt you. Like that's what I imagine. Like I just imagine you getting pissed. Like, don't you do that again.
That is exactly.
And you're a small itty bitty person, but I feel like they'd probably be like, oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, they do get.
Jeez. Someone take her away.
I feel like, well, I mean, even when I was a kid, like there was always that hallway, and I'm like, I know something's
you're
gonna
down
come
there.
out. I know you're out there, and
down
but like arms would come at you from both sides, and I'd be like, I don't. Like, you're like, I'm so scared. But I would just like run through, and they would try to grab you, or somebody would come at you with a chainsaw. That terrified me. I was like, what? But then as I got older, but it was disconnected. But it would just make that sound.
but still, it makes me think you'd have to like sign a release before you go into these things.
You did. As you got older, you absolutely did. Now I remember when I was little, and you would actually go trick or treating in the neighborhoods, like. Some people would have their garages done up as like a haunted house, and they would have like you had to put you couldn't see. You'd have to put your hand into like a bowl of, olives, and it was supposed to be eyes, or spaghetti, and it was supposed to be, I don't know what the hell spaghetti was.
You are reminding me that there was something called like a harvest festival at the church I went to as a kid. We were allowed to go to, and there'd be games, kind of like that.
Yeah, those are fun. That would always scare me. But your reaction is exactly how I reacted. I see it. I see it. I know you. I know you, Marshelle. It's so funny. Oh my God, I would just get so upset.
I feel like. Never mind. I'm not going to say that was something about. I'm just stop. Change the subject quick.
What were you going to say?
No.
You can't do that. Now I want to know.
It's so dumb. I was going to say, I have a feeling when the pandemic's over, but this doesn't even make any sense. This is why a filter can be good. Oh. It doesn't make any sense, but I was like, I feel like one of these days, I'm going to like have to take a job as a person that works at a haunted house.
As one of those haunted houses or something?
I'm going to be the person that's scaring you.
A lot of actors do that, you guys, just so you know. I never knew that until I moved out here, that a lot of actors will go and do those. I'm like, ooh, that explains a lot. That's why it's
like
so
seasonal gag. I've never done that. I mean, I have nothing against it. It sounds exhausting, to be honest.
Yeah, I wouldn't be happy about that.
You know what's going on in my head? Welcome to the jungle. We got hunting crane.
Let me see. What else we got? Do you know anything else from the siren?
There's a couple of them, actually. There's this app called Citizen, and it alerts you. I don't know. It's not in every city. It is definitely in my city, our city, but I mean Los Angeles. But it tells you what's going on. And so, let me see. Woman with knife, suspect in custody. That was several hours ago.
I have a story.
Oh, just looking to see if it's obvious where those sirens are going. Nope. But I will probably I'll probably get an alert.
Woman with the knife, though. Tommy, my husband, is the general manager of Viper Room, for some of you who don't. He's also a musician. He's kind of a rock star. But so kind of a...
no big deal. He's a
rock star. But he's the general manager of the Viper Room. And everything's shut down right now. So he has to go and check it periodically. And so I went with him the other night. I was sitting in my car because I got this new phone. So I was wanting to play with it. And he's like, I got to go do a few things. I'll be right back. This he's not a homeless person. I don't know. He's a transient. So I'm not sure. But he clearly was on something. I saw him walk into the parking lot, and I was like just kind of shrinking, like hoping he didn't, because there was something about him that didn't feel right. And I saw him like yelling at nothing and pointing and like yelling at things.
Usually not a good sign, people.
Not a good sign. So I covered my phone so he wouldn't see it, and he starts circling around the car.
That's unnerving. I don't like that.
It was really unnerving.
Because that feels like a shark or something, and you're in a cage.
That's what it felt like. So I'm looking around, I'm like, do I have anything in case this guy breaks a window? I mean, you just don't know. Tommy's friends with one of the sheriffs in LA, and he said that there's this whole thing about transients stabbing people, and that, you need to be careful. Like there's this new sort of, and they're having to train of how to protect themselves and to protect people, and this whole thing about that. So I was on alert. So I was watching the guy circling around the car, and then eventually he kind of walks away, and then Tommy comes out because I texted him, I'm like, hey, there's a guy out here. He's kind of spooky, so be careful when you come out. So when he comes out, this guy circles back around and he sees Tommy and he starts yelling at him, and he starts telling him, I'm going to slit your throat. He starts saying, I'm going to slit. Yeah. And he's like, I'm going to slit your throat. And luckily he didn't have a knife, but he came at Tommy. He got like this far away. For those of you not watching, like maybe 10 inches away from him, like that close in his space.
During a pandemic
With no mask. Tommy had his mask on, of course. But he's like, what? You don't like, he thought he was Dracula. You don't like Dracula? He's like, I'm going to cut your throat. But I can't even imitate it because it was so intense. And Tommy's like, whoa, like he's trying to keep his cool, but also trying to be alert at the same time. So he gets in the car, we get in the car. The guy starts chasing us as we pull out. And then there's these, they're not cops, but they're people that are supposed to kind of be patrolling, I guess, to kind of help protect West Hollywood.
Safety patrol.
Yeah, safety patrol. And then you're supposed to call the cops, though. They don't really, I don't know what good they're really doing for you, honestly.
Maybe just to be a visual deterrent.
Perhaps. Maybe, I was going to say, unless maybe to like, yeah. Perfect,
oh,
exactly.
You know what? It's probably insurance. I bet it's an insurance thing.
But this guy came at them, telling them, like, just like coming right at them. And then he crossed the street and then he saw Tommy again. He just had it out for Tommy and like was just like threatening him. I can't even remember what all he said. I don't get spooked very easy, and neither does Tommy. But that we were both like, what the? I mean, it was just so weird.
Next time you grab that fancy new phone of yours and you hit record so I can see this shit go down.
Oh, I should have. I actually should have. And then the next night we were in the grocery store at night, and some other weird thing happened in the parking lot. We're like, what? Is it a full moon? We're like, what is going on?
I mean, it's hard for me to say if it isn't just kind of like the app a little bit, because I have this app that's been alerting me of shit going on in my neighborhood. But maybe it's always been this way, and it just seems like it's happening more because I have this app. However, I do think it's happening more because of the pandemic. It just kind of makes sense that, people's, like, everybody's routine got really shuffled and things changed. And it's kind of like how you notice a lot of animals were like starting to emerge out of nature bed and like integrate themselves into around homes a little more, and like in suburban areas. I mean, that happens from time to time, but it seemed like it happened significantly more because of all the people holed up inside. So it feels like people are also going to be responding, like people that live out. I don't know the PC to refer to somebody that lives outside, because I'm not being judgmental, and I know people have.
Not at all. Totally have sympathy. I mean,
it could be
anybody.
A wide variety of reasons why somebody is outside. Some of it's choice, some of it's mental illness, some of it's drug addiction, some of it is just fucking hard times, and it's very expensive to live here.
Right. I was 19 years old. I've had quite the life, you guys. I'm surprised I'm alive, knocking wood.
19? 6 years ago?
See why she's in my will. So I lived in. She is. She's not going to get anything because I don't have anything right now. But
she doesn't have a will yet. Why no 25-year-old has a will?
Exactly. I love you. But I lived in Texas for a while, and I lived in this little kind of a surfer commune.
Did I know you lived in Texas? I feel like I did not know you lived in Texas at any point.
I grew up there. I grew up in Oklahoma and Texas and Missouri, mainly Oklahoma and Missouri. But I did live in Texas again when I was 18, 19, 20.
Do you have an accent and I just don't know it? Because I can't hear it anymore because I know you?
So when I get tired, I think I have a slight, it's my phrasings. It's not really my accent that are Southern.
Okay. Sorry to derail. I was like, wait.
Moment.
Because maybe you have an accent and I'm just like used to it.
Maybe I do. I don't know. But what I was getting at though was there was this really sweet guy that lived across the way from me, and he it wasn't a commune, but we just called it a commune because it was like these little huts. It was kind of cute actually. And this guy who I thought was just the sweetest thing, he was telling me how he used to be homeless. He was a professor of literature. And he actually, in the East Coast, and he actually, I don't know what happened. I think he became an alcoholic and he couldn't kick it. So he ended up living on the street. And then he somehow moved to Texas.
Was the professor thing before or after? Okay, so he was a professor and then he got, alcohol.
Yeah, so that's my point, is that it could be anybody.
Right.
There can be families. I mean, they can't make the rent. Maybe somebody left and they don't, it's really, so what she's saying, I'm just reiterating that, it's like we completely have sympathy. So that's not it. It's just.
That being said, I also have a desire to feel safe and to be safe. And sometimes people of any background can be incredibly unpredictable and you don't always know what their intentions are. So if somebody's being aggressive like that, like that's incredibly unnerving. Like, I don't feel like anybody's asking us to justify that element. Of course not. But,
Well, you had mentioned it, so I just wanted to
No, I'm glad. I wanted to.
Yeah.
I wanted to expound on that. I'm also saying, like, look, listeners, I'm not assuming that you guys are thinking the worst of us because we brought it up. It's just more of, in this PC culture, it is part of the conversation now, is how we even approach these topics, and I think we want to just remind you, like, we do with sensitivity, like we're not,
and there's a big influx of that out here, and there's good people and there's bad people, just like there is in any walk of life. So there you go.
Yes.
Was there anything else you wanted to talk about with Halloween? Because you got older, was there something that you...
Well, I eventually did start to dress up more and more as soon as I moved out. And I never thought of it like, oh, now I can. I actually talked to my mom kind of recently about... She's like, well, don't you remember we'd take you to the video store? This is back when you'd have to go rent like a VHS. And you could pick out whatever movie you wanted, but it wasn't Halloween movies. It was just like... say it was, I don't know, Jurassic Park. I don't know. Excuse me. And then I think we'd also get to choose candy. I don't know if it was like a bag of candy, but candy was probably candy was involved. And I couldn't even tell you what my favorite candy. Do you have a favorite candy?
That changes. I got excited about that idea. I've never been a big candy corn person though.
Candy corn gets so made fun of. Poor candy corn.
What I really loved when I was young was caramel apples.
And didn't they have to stop doing caramel apples because assholes would put razors in there?
Exactly. Actually, though, apples, the whole apple tradition came from we're wrapping it back up to the pagan tradition having to do with apples. You would leave out fruit, milk, or grains for the fairies. Or
even bobbing apples, I think, had some divination element, because there was there were games that people would play where and usually the themes had to do with who are you going to marry and when you're going to die.
Which it always goes to those two things, right?
Fun.
I remember being a kid, it was the same thing.
Who are you going to marry who's going to drive you to want to die? I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry, what?
I was trying to stop myself, but you caught me. I was just going to be like, I'm in a mood tonight.
I was going to say candy. You reminded me whenever we would go trick-or-treating, your parents always had to check your candy. I just always remember so vividly, my dad would be like, 1 for you, 2 for me, 1 for you. He would keep the candy, we'd be checking it. I just remember that vividly. And I remember being like, Dad,
It's like, what? That's how it works.
I drove you around. Exactly.
I earned this.
That's exactly what he would say. I drove you around. I earned this. This is how it works. Dad was a hoot, I got to tell you.
I did have one. So my birthday is October 16th. So I just had it. And so there has been at least one time where I combined my birthday with like a Halloween costume party. I think I was in my 20s. I mean, last year. It was last year. I'm sure of it. Anyway, I do remember doing that, and that was actually it was fun, but I was like, I'm never doing that again, because I want my birthday to be my birthday. I want it to be my day. I don't want it to be but it was fun that people like dressed up in costumes. But
I've had a costume party on my birthday. I used to like not
I
really.
was there.
I know. That was that was a 70s theme one.
That was
one
very fun.
One for the books. That was a fun one, wasn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, the night ended early for me because I got a horrific migraine, so I had to go home. But I saw the pictures for later.
Ooh, that was a lot of drinking in that one. But it was
Once upon a time. And it's so funny how little we drink. Well, I mean, really.
I don't drink.
You just don't. Yeah. I drink very, very little. I kind of forget alcohol exists, although I do have a little bit of tequila left in my pantry cupboard.
There you go. You know, I used to, we've talked about this before. I used to love to, I didn't have a problem with drinking. It was drugs that I had a problem with. But once I quit that, I've never really been excessive with the drinking. And it might have been vanity because I noticed how crappy you look. Like you get that glazed look in your eye and you're like, that's not sexy. That's
People
just
get a little sloppy.
Yeah, like I don't want to be sloppy about it. That's a good word for it. But I'm supporting my husband. He's not drinking, and I think that's okay.
And most of the time, so like, obviously we can't right now, but when Marshelle and I go out to the Viper room when Tommy's working so that we can like hang out with him, a lot of times like I just don't end up because she's not drinking. And I don't need it to have a good time. So we ended up just sitting at the bar having soda water with lime for hours.
I think we were drinking. Yeah, exactly. And it was fun to observe people.
Yeah.
Because we were sober and you could just watch them progress. But what I realized about that was I don't need it.
No.
To have fun. It is a little weird. I am a little more reticent at first, but then you start to lighten up and it's the energy.
Yeah, alcohol for me has never been like I need alcohol to loosen up or to feel more comfortable. I feel like almost like it has the opposite effect, that alcohol makes me feel almost too open if I'm not careful. It makes me more sensitive. It just makes me like feel more susceptible to my environment. But and that's with it, really anything. Like I don't smoke weed because same reasons. Like I'm just so very, very sensitive to it. I have nothing against it. I mean, it's legal now in most places. So, but I'm pretty damn outgoing.
You are.
I can be very comfortable in a crowd. I almost feel like I'm better one-on-one though these days.
I think I am too. Yeah, I don't.
These
you know
days.
what? This is interesting because I actually wanted to talk about this once. I was realizing I'm not good at small talk anymore. I don't know that I ever really was, honestly. I could fake it for like a few minutes because it just doesn't interest me. I mean,
I'm horrible at it.
You'd never know. I think you're very gracious out in public.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What I've had to learn how to do is what I have a problem with is when people just like ask me a bunch of questions that are like, they don't care. They're not really trying to get to know you. They're just like getting facts. To me, it's like, what do you do for a living? What kind of car do you drive? How much does your rent cost?
What questions? Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those types of things where it's like, none of this tells you who I am as a person. So if people start to ask me those types of questions, I just find a way to turn the tables on them. And most people love that are going to ask you those questions, love talking about themselves. Yeah. So you just kind of get them going. And then it's like, okay, now I can just kind of zone out.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's not that I'm not an asshole. Like, I hope it doesn't seem like because I like people, but I have a number of good people in my life right now. And I don't know if that I need any new friends right now. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Happy Halloween. Yeah.
Happy Halloween. Fuck off. No. Okay, well, I'll warn my mom not to listen to this one. I think my F-bomb count is 3, maybe 4. Just skip on over it, Mom. You'll hate it.
My mom makes up cuss words. And then my stepmother.
Can you tell me some of them in the sex later when we get done, just so I can incorporate them into...
Yeah. I will. We're always like, what? How did you come up with that one? Yeah, like it's kind of shit and sake. That's when she likes to say. My mom has an accent. Yeah,
that's cute.
And she's like this little old thing. So it's kind of funny. For shit and sake. So you
Oh my
guys,
gosh. Wait, do you know how to say the word how do
Nope.
you pronounce this? Mellifluous.
mellifluous.
Mellifluous, I think is how you say it.
I'm not even sure how to spell it, so I can't tell you if I'm saying it right.
Mellifluous.
What does it mean?
Mellifluous. Pleasingly smooth and musical to hear.
Why did you ask me about that word in particular?
Well, because at one point I had asked a couple people if they would dare me to incorporate a word into the episode, and I just did it in a really obvious way. Did not at all incorporate it,
subtle.
slide, nothing subtle about it. Couldn't even say it. Had to spell it out.
Why did you ask me about that word? Yeah.
Mellifluous.
I was like, is she trying to say Maleficent?
I know. And I also, I'm starting to sound drunk. I'm derailing it. Everything about this episode that's gone bad and downhill is me. I'm just kidding. I think it's funny. Deal with it. That's all. That's all, folks. Abidi.
We can wrap this one up. But thanks for coming back. We love you guys. Oh,
Have a happy and safe Halloween.
yeah. Leave mine
All
up here. I don't
Hallows
think I can get
Eve.
them on. Yeah, All Hallows Eve. Indeed. Be careful. Watch out for spirits.
Watch out for spirit. Yep.
Bog
there you go.
People.
Giddy up. Watch out for spirits.
All right. Bye, you guys.
Bye.
See you next Wednesday.